Have you ever felt like your voice wasn't being heard? Like you had something important to say, but the world just wasn't ready to listen?
Hmm.
Well, today we're going to dive into the life of someone who knew that feeling all too well.
Oh, okay.
We're traveling back to the 14th century to meet Christine de Pizan,
Okay.
a woman who defied the odds to become a powerhouse writer,
Wow.
an outspoken feminist, and a political thinker. All this in an era when most women were expected to be seen and not heard.
Times were different.
They really were.
Yeah.
And our source for this deep dive is a fascinating episode of the Stuff You Missed in History Class podcast.
Love that one.
Yeah, it's a great podcast.
It is.
So what's so captivating about Christine's story is it throws out the window so many assumptions about women in the Middle Ages.
Right. It's like, hello, surprise.
Totally.
Yeah.
It reminds us that history is full of surprises and individuals who challenged the norms of their time. So let's start at the beginning. The podcast takes us back to Christine's childhood. She was born in Venice, but her life really took shape in the court of Charles V of France.
Yes, and this is a crucial point. Charles V was a patron of the arts and sciences.
Oh, interesting.
His court was a hub of intellectual activity, and Christine, unlike most girls at the time, was allowed to fully immerse herself in this world.
Wow.
Imagine her surrounded by scholars, soaking up knowledge from a vast library.
I can't even imagine.
This type of education was typically reserved for boys, so it really set the stage for her extraordinary journey.
It's almost like she was given a glimpse of a world where women could be intellectual equals.
Exactly.
And then, as the podcast explains, tragedy struck. At just 25 years old, Christine became a widow with 3 children to support.
That's right. Suddenly, Christine was faced with a stark reality.
Yeah.
Society offered limited options for women, especially widows.
It's hard to imagine.
Many were forced into poverty or dependence on male relatives.
Oh, wow.
But Christine, armed with her education and a fierce determination,
She was a strong woman.
chose a different path.
She decided to become a writer.
She did.
That's incredibly bold for a woman in the 14th century.
It absolutely was. Now remember, this was long before the printing press.
Right.
Books were painstakingly copied by hand, often adorned with elaborate illustrations. These are what we call illuminated manuscripts.
So how did someone even become a writer in that world?
It was a complex system. Writers often relied on wealthy patrons for financial support.
Okay.
Think of it as a type of sponsorship.
Okay.
Christine had to navigate this system, securing commissions from the French nobility and dedicating poems to influential figures.
So it wasn't just about talent. It was about strategy and networking, too.
Exactly. Christine had to be incredibly savvy.
Oh, wow.
She had to promote her work, build relationships, and convince powerful people to invest in her.
Oh, my goodness.
And she did all of this while raising 3 children alone.
That is so impressive.
It is.
And she didn't just write lighthearted poems or stories. The podcast mentions one of her early works, The Letters of Cupid, sparked a major controversy.
Yes. The Letters of Cupid ignited what's known as the Quarrel of the Rose. It was a heated literary debate about a hugely popular poem at the time called Roman de la Rose.
What was it about Roman de la Rose that got Christine so fired up?
Christine took issue with the poem's portrayal of women.
Interesting.
She saw it as misogynistic, celebrating deception in love, and even violence against women.
Really?
She boldly criticized the poem, even suggesting it should be engulfed in flames rather than praised.
That's certainly one way to make a statement.
Oh, it definitely got people talking.
Yeah.
This was a time when women's voices were often silenced, especially in intellectual circles. But Christine wasn't afraid to challenge the literary establishment and spark a debate about gender roles and societal expectations.
It's incredible to think about the courage that must have taken. So how did the literary world react to her critique?
Well, not surprisingly, Christine faced pushback. Some scholars dismissed her arguments, while others engaged in fierce debates with her.
I bet.
But importantly, the Quarrel of the Rose helped to amplify Christine's voice. It brought her work to the attention of a wider audience and cemented her position as a leading intellectual figure of her time.
It's almost like this controversy became a platform for her to speak out even more forcefully about the issues she cared about.
Exactly. And this leads us to Christine's most famous work,
Okay.
The Book of the City of Ladies.
Okay.
This book is a powerful response to all the negativity and misogyny she encountered. Imagine a city built entirely by and for women, a place where their virtues, intelligence, and accomplishments are celebrated.
Wow.
That's the vision Christine lays out in this remarkable book.
What an incredible concept. It's like she created a literary safe haven for women, a place where their voices could be heard without judgment or prejudice. What kind of stories and figures fill this city?
Christine populates her city with a diverse array of inspiring women from history, mythology, and the Bible. You'll find figures like the Virgin Mary, Queen Zenobia, and the learned Hypatia.
Oh, wow.
Each woman represents a different aspect of female strength, wisdom, and resilience.
It's like she's rewriting history, giving women the recognition and agency they were often denied in traditional accounts. Did she have any particular messages she was trying to convey through these stories?
Absolutely. Throughout the Book of the City of Ladies, Christine challenges the prevailing stereotypes about women.
Interesting.
She argues that women are just as capable as men of intelligence, virtue, and leadership. She uses these historical and mythical figures to showcase the diversity of female experiences and the invaluable contributions women have made to society.
So it's not just a celebration of women, it's a call for equality and recognition.
Precisely. And what's so striking is that Christine doesn't shy away from addressing the very real challenges women faced in her time. She acknowledges the violence, discrimination, and limited opportunities that held women back.
It's hard to even imagine.
But rather than succumbing to despair, she uses her writing to inspire and empower women to strive for a better future.
It sounds like Christine's work had a dual purpose: to challenge those in power and to uplift those who were marginalized. This brings us to another point mentioned in the podcast. She wasn't just concerned with abstract ideas of equality. She also offered practical guidance for women navigating the realities of their time.
That's right. Christine wrote another fascinating book called The Treasure of the City of Ladies, sometimes referred to as the Book of the Three Virtues.
What's so special about this book?
Think of it as a medieval conduct manual for women, a guidebook for how to thrive in a world designed for men.
Interesting.
Christine addresses topics like marriage, household management, and even how to interact with different social classes.
So she was giving women the tools to navigate the complexities of their daily lives. But was she advocating for them to rebel against the system?
That's a great question. It's important to remember that Christine was a product of her time. She wasn't calling for a complete overthrow of societal structures.
Okay.
Instead, she focused on helping women find agency and fulfillment within the existing framework.
So it was about making the best of a challenging situation.
Yes. The Book of the Three Virtues emphasizes duty and virtue, but it also acknowledges the impossible standards often placed upon women. And there's a fascinating undercurrent in the book that encourages women to be self-sufficient.
What do you mean by self-sufficient?
Whether it's a widow considering remarriage or a married woman managing her household, Christine emphasizes the importance of financial independence and skillful decision-making. It's as if she's saying, hey, even within these constraints, you have the power to shape your own destiny.
That's so empowering.
It is.
It's amazing how Christine balanced her grand visions of a more just society with these very practical tips for everyday life.
And that balance really speaks to her genius. She understood the power of ideas, but she also recognized the need for actionable advice that could help women navigate the challenges of their daily lives.
From challenging misogynistic literature to offering practical advice for women, Christine's focus seems to have been directed towards women's issues.
Yeah.
But the podcast also mentioned that her writing went beyond that.
Yes. Christine had a wide range of interests and a seemingly endless supply of things to say.
It sounds like it.
Her writings extended into areas like war, peace, and leadership, and her insights resonated even with military leaders.
Wow.
One of her most notable works in this area is The Book of Deeds and Arms of Chivalry, which delves into military history, strategy, and even the concept of a just war.
So she was basically advising kings and knights on matters of war. That's pretty mind-blowing considering the time period.
It is, and it speaks to her deep understanding of these subjects.
Yeah.
For example, in the Book of Deeds and Arms of Chivalry, Christine advocates for a standing national army,
Okay.
a radical idea at the time.
Why was a standing national army so radical?
Back then, armies were often made up of mercenaries, soldiers for hire. Christine argued that a standing national army, composed of citizens loyal to their country, would be more reliable, disciplined, and less prone to looting and violence against civilians.
That's a fascinating insight. It shows she was thinking about the ethical implications of warfare, not just the strategic aspects.
Exactly, and her ideas were ahead of their time. The Book of Deeds and Arms of Chivalry was so respected that it became one of the first books printed in England after the advent of the printing press.
So her work transcended time and geographical boundaries. It's amazing to think that a woman writing in the 14th century could have such a lasting impact. But what about her personal life? Did she ever remarry after becoming a widow?
No, Christine never remarried. She dedicated her life to her writing and raising her children.
Okay.
She even wrote extensively for her son, offering him moral guidance and advice as he navigated the complexities of court life.
So she was not only a prolific writer and political thinker, but also a devoted mother. It's incredible how she balanced all these different roles.
It really is. And beyond her role as a mother, Christine also became a sought-after advisor to those in power. She corresponded directly with kings and dukes, advocating for peace and reminding them of their duty to prioritize the well-being of their people.
Wow, she was fearless. Imagine a woman in those times having the audacity to lecture powerful men on morality and leadership.
It does take a certain kind of courage, especially during a time of intense conflict like the Hundred Years' War. Christine's unwavering belief in peace and justice shines through in her writings.
Yeah.
She constantly urged those in power to seek diplomatic solutions and to consider the human cost of warfare.
It's inspiring to see how she used her platform to advocate for positive change, even in such turbulent times. It really shows that one voice can make a difference no matter how challenging the circumstances.
Absolutely. And there's another fascinating aspect of Christine's life that we haven't touched upon yet.
Okay.
Her deep religious faith.
Oh, that's right. The podcast mentioned her faith played a significant role in shaping her worldview.
Yes, Christine saw her writing as a way to uphold Christian values and promote a more just and compassionate society.
Oh.
Her faith was a driving force behind her commitment to peace, justice, and the betterment of humanity.
It seems like everything Christine did was rooted in a deep sense of morality and purpose. Did her faith also shield her from some of the backlash she faced for her outspoken views?
It's possible. By framing her arguments within a religious context, she may have been able to deflect some of the criticism she might have otherwise received for being a woman challenging the status quo.
That's fascinating. It shows she was not only a brilliant writer and thinker, but also a master strategist.
Absolutely. Christine was a woman ahead of her time. She used her intellect, her wit, and her deep faith to carve out a space for herself in a world that often tried to silence women.
It's truly remarkable how much she accomplished in her lifetime. And she did all of this before the age of the printing press.
Imagine the sheer volume of work she produced. We're talking about over 1,000 pages of writing, all meticulously copied by hand.
Oh my goodness.
It's a testament to her dedication, her passion, and her unwavering belief in the power of words to change the world.
I'm curious to know more about her later years. Did she continue writing until the very end?
Well, according to the podcast, after a lifetime of writing and advocacy, Christine chose to spend her final years at a convent with her daughter.
A convent. That's an interesting choice after such a dynamic and public life.
Perhaps she found solace and peace in the contemplative environment of the convent after a lifetime of navigating the turbulent waters of court life and societal expectations.
It's a beautiful image, this trailblazing woman finding a quiet haven to reflect on her life and legacy. But even in her final years, her commitment to her ideals remained unwavering.
Yeah.
Her last known work was a tribute to Joan of Arc, another remarkable woman who challenged societal norms and left an indelible mark on history.
That connection between Christine and Joan of Arc is so powerful. It highlights the enduring legacy of women who dare to defy expectations and fight for what they believe in, even in the face of overwhelming adversity.
It really makes you think about the ripple effects one person can have. Both Christine and Joan left behind legacies that continue to inspire centuries later. Speaking of legacies, the podcast mentioned that Christine was also quite strategic when it came to securing her children's futures.
Yes, Christine's determination to provide for her children is another testament to her strength and resourcefulness.
Yeah.
She skillfully navigated the complexities of court life, securing advantageous positions for both her son and daughter. This was a time when a woman's social standing and financial security were largely determined by her husband or father.
Right.
Christine, however, had to forge her own path.
So she was playing this high-stakes game, maneuvering to protect her family while simultaneously writing groundbreaking works and advising royalty. It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It speaks volumes about her resilience and adaptability. She was a master of balancing multiple roles: mother, writer, political advisor, social critic, and excelling in each one.
She really was.
Christine's story is a powerful reminder that even amidst personal challenges and societal limitations, it's possible to achieve extraordinary things.
She truly embodies the spirit of perseverance. So we've talked about Christine's incredible life, her groundbreaking work, and her lasting impact. What does it all mean for us today?
Well, Christine's story challenges us to consider the potential that's lost when voices are silenced due to societal barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Her legacy reminds us to champion diverse perspectives and create spaces where everyone can contribute their talents and insights. It's a message that resonates deeply even today.
It's like she's saying, don't let the world tell you who you can or cannot be. Christine's story is a call to action.
Totally.
It challenges us to embrace our own potential, to use our voices to advocate for what's right, and to never underestimate the power of one person to make a difference in the world. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive into the life of Christine de Pizan.
It was my pleasure.
Her story is a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, one voice can make a difference, and that the pursuit of equality and justice is a journey that continues to this day. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration of history.